We are pleased to welcome to the studio the COO of the Evansville IceMen, Jim Riggs, and the new head coach of the Evansville IceMen, Al Sims. Gentlemen, good afternoon. Thanks for the time today. Let's start with you, Mr. Riggs, if we may, or Jim, if I may. The coaching change, the announcement comes on New Year's Day with a press release that you guys had let Coach Mullins go. Why now, I guess would be a question as to why the desire to make the coaching change at this point.
Well, first, thanks for letting us come on today, guys. A busy day after a busy weekend of football. Mm-hmm. For those of us who grew up in Pittsburgh, a tough weekend.
Yeah, well, that's right. I forgot you're a Steelers guy.
Oh, man.
Made the playoffs. We can't
won the division.
We could discuss a whole 20 minutes on why they don't deserve to be in the playoffs, but that's another day. Anyway, to answer your question, Ryan, we looked at the overall schedule and thought December would be a great month to make hay. Lots of home games. And, of course, lots of support here at the Ford Center with our fan support. And when we got to the end of the month and then only won one game and lost 9, it was such a great home schedule. We really looked at the schedule and said, we have to make a change here. Dwight was a great guy. I enjoyed working with him. He worked well with our staff. He actually got to know some of our staff that was no longer a part of the organization. That's how well he integrated himself into the community. But Ron Geary and I met a couple of times and just felt that we had to make a change for the fan support, for the corporate support, and the fact that we historically have played so many games at the Ford Center and have done as well as we have.
Right.
So that was the major reason. And we, of course, then started looking at who would be the best fit. And Al, who, of course, is sitting in here with me, he was a guy who we had talked to last summer. He was up in Canada. He can certainly tell you that story, working for a junior team, and wasn't quite sure if he was ready to return to the minor league wars. And fortunately, this time when we talked to him, he said he was ready. And at the end of the day, he was clearly the candidate because of his great career.
Now, what's the time frame between the decision that the coaching change needed to be made and reaching out to Coach Sims and actually getting the agreement in place? Are we talking about the span of 2 or 3 days, or are we talking a couple of weeks? What was the process?
It was right before Christmas, actually. The Sunday before Christmas, Ron and I met. We looked at the big picture, and then he said, "Well, what are you doing over Christmas break?" And I said, "Well, I guess I'm going to be working a little bit."
The joys of minor league sports.
That's right. Huh? So I started making some phone calls, and Al was, of course, the first person we reached out to, and then we went back and forth for a little bit, and then we came back and played a couple more games. We played the game on the 26th. Mm-hmm. We played the game in Fort Wayne on the 27th, and at that point, that following Sunday, we again met and started the serious negotiations with Al, and unfortunately, by New Year's Eve, we had the deal done.
Well, you bring up that Coach Sims was at a junior hockey league and was not sure if he was ready to, I don't know, probably 30-hour bus rides aren't the greatest either sometimes. So those are things that cross your mind, too. But if you can speak on it, when the search started, when Coach Mullins was hired, was Coach Sims a part of that, and was that a time that he just kind of said, "Well, I'm not sure if I wanted"? So he was in the mix from the beginning. Okay,
right. Because of his unbelievable championship record at this level, he was certainly one of the guys we first reached out to. And then, as Al will probably tell you, there were some circumstances why he wasn't ready to come back here and do this. And now they've changed, and we're glad to have him.
It's Ford and O'Brien, ESPN Evansville 105.3 online, ESPNEvansville.com, talking with IceMen CEO Jim Riggs and the new head coach of the Evansville IceMen, Coach Al Sims. And Coach, let's bring you in to the discussion. As Mr. Riggs here had just mentioned, when you guys had spoken over the summer about the coaching vacancy at that time, you weren't quite ready to make that jump back into minor league. So what changed between then and now?
Well, I think when I retired from Fort Wayne, I went home to take care of my mother. I'm an only child, no brothers and sisters. And,
I know that, as I am as well.
Mother had a fall and, was in bad shape. And my dad had passed away, so I was the only one to take care of her. My wife and I went up there, lived with her for a year. And then this year had moved away. She was doing well again, was much better. And I know the first time Jim and I talked, and Ron, she was not doing well. So I wasn't ready at that time. But as the months went along, obviously she got stronger. The call came out of the blue. I was, I've been coaching junior for 2 years there now, and, everything's going fine and enjoying myself. And Ron and Jim called, and I talked to my family. Everybody was home, of course, for Christmas, and they all said you'd be crazy not to do it. So, they know Evansville. They know the fans here. Of course, I do from Fort Wayne, being
Sure.
on the opposite bench. And I told Jim and Ron, yeah, I'm interested. And, within 2 or 3 days, an agreement was made. And, here I am. So it happened very quickly.
Well, and for those that aren't familiar with you, obviously we had the ability through the press release that the team released that had some background information on you. You not only spent time as a player in the National Hockey League, you coached with the Mighty Ducks for a brief time, also with the San Jose Sharks. You've got quite the resume, quite honestly. So we're glad to have you here. If you could maybe just kind of briefly go through a quick history of your life in hockey.
Yeah, I think, I'm 61 right now, 41 years at the professional level, and it's gone by like that. So it's, been a great ride for me. I started in Boston, got drafted by the Bruins in the 3rd round, got to play with a guy named Bobby Orr as his defense partner.
Yeah, you might have heard of him.
Sounds familiar.
Rookie
Rings a bell.
season, and every time I got the puck, it was going to the right side to Bobby, and you deal with it. So all I had to do was stay back and make sure I was defending when Bobby was on his way, scoring goals and assists. But it was a tremendous thrill to play with the Bruins at that time. I came after they won their 2nd cup, and we went to the finals my rookie season against Philadelphia and the Broad Street Bullies, and we did lose, unfortunately, in that final. Had a great career, 10 years, I think close to 500 games with playoffs. And went to the finals twice. Unfortunately, didn't get a ring at that level, but had an opportunity to play in Europe after that. And I played from the time I was 30 to 36 in Europe, places like Salzburg, Austria, Geneva, Switzerland, West Berlin, Germany, Landshut, West Germany. So I got to see Europe in my playing days. And then I came back, and Fort Wayne needed an assistant coach, and coached with Robbie Laird my first year. Got my feet wet coaching, and Robbie moved on to the Washington Capitals. I got to become a head coach with the Fort Wayne Comets. And we made the playoffs every year, went to the finals against Peoria one year, lost. And then we went to the finals against San Diego and won. And that win catapulted me to the NHL. And I got an interview with the Anaheim Mighty Ducks as an assistant, and worked with Ron Wilson and Tim Army there. Then I, after 3 years in Anaheim, got a chance to interview for the head coaching job in San Jose. I got that job, and that lasted a year. Unfortunately, we didn't have a very good hockey team, and you win 27 games in the NHL, you could be fired. And certainly that's what happened. And I could have stayed on with San Jose as a scout or in some capacity, but I wanted to keep coaching, keep working at my trade, and I went back to the minors, to Milwaukee, and then really bounced around from Fort Worth to Flint to Corpus Christi to the American Hockey League to Wilkes-Barre. So was all around the place, and eventually ended up back in Fort Wayne after 4 years there. And I'd come full circle back to Fort Wayne, and David Franke said, we need a coach. And I said, well, when do you want me to interview? He says, we don't have to interview. He says, we know you.
Right.
So I knew David and Michael really well. And last time I left was a championship.
That usually helps on the interview thing,
and,
doesn't it? Yeah.
Came back, and the very first year we win another one. And then I think we miss a year, and then I think we win 3 in a row.
Actually, you won 3 in a row, then missed a year, and came back for another one. Yeah.
And, it was
we won't fault you for not remembering all of it.
Yeah, I'm not going to let you slide on getting your props for 3 in a row, because that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, but something in Fort Wayne obviously clicked with me, and, I had some great players there. Certainly they get the credit for the championships. They do all the work. I just give them the instructions and try to guide them here and there. But, it was just an incredible run to win 5 championships in 10 years in the same place. And, it was great. And then retiring for my mother and stuff, and then coming back to Indiana and hoping to have the same success in Evansville that I've had in the past.
We hope so, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll take. I'll tell you what, the Ford Center is, and you've been around, as you just said, the Ford Center is, they did it right when they put that in here in town. They really did. It took a while to get it. There's still a lot of people that maybe don't agree with its location, but I don't think anybody disagrees with the beauty of it. And just it's a fabulous venue, and that coming in as a coach as well, because you've been around minor league sports long enough to know that you can roll in some places that is just, really, is that ice? Or is it they just don't have there's a lot of things that aren't set up proper. But as a coach, it seems everything is here that you need. I mean, Mr. Gary and Mr. Riggs run a class organization with the Icemen, and I'm sure you wouldn't have taken this job and left Canada to come back into the minor league system if it wasn't set up for success.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, Jim and Ron are a big reason I'm here. I know the type of individuals they are. I've met Ron previously. They're first class. They do everything first class. And the only thing that's missing here in this town is a winner. Mm-hmm. And the fans are probably the loudest I've ever heard because I've never been up in the stands before. These last 2 games, 4,000 people, and it was raucous in there. And then the next night, 5,000, 6,000. Mm-hmm. And I can imagine when 8,000, 9,000 are in there, that place is just rocking, and it's a great home venue. And like I said, hopefully I can get some wins for us here this year, and hopefully make a push for the playoffs.
Jimmy, why did they name the arena after you?
Well, it took a lot, Jim. It did. I tell you, that's the biggest campaign I ever ran in my life, and I was privileged.
Well, congratulations.
Well, they got millions for that name, and I haven't seen one royalty check yet. No, not one. I got some nachos at the last game when I was over there. Mm-hmm. Charged me for those.
Unbelievable.
I said, you know who I am?
My last name is on this building.
That's right, exactly. Right outside. They said, yeah, but you drive a Chevy, so we got to charge you.
Speaking of which, it is Ford and O'Brien, ESPN Evansville 105.3 and online, ESPNEvansville.com. Speaking with Iceman COO rather, Jim Riggs, and new head coach Al Sims. And, Coach, you do take over a team sitting at 9-18, 2-2 right now, third to last in the Eastern Conference. Do you feel you've got the players in place right now that you can turn things around and make a strong push here in the second half of the season?
Yeah, I think there's no doubt. I watched a couple of games as soon as Jim called me, and I wanted to get into it right away and see what we had. And, I do. I know they started out 4-0. There's got to be a reason for that.
Sure.
And, they have won some games recently, and they played strongly against Fort Wayne, one of the top teams in the league. Their goaltending is exceptionally strong. Defense, I like our defense. They're big. They're mobile. The forwards, I think we need to find a way to put the puck in the net for the guys up front. And we do have some guys, Brandon Wong and Kale Karbashian, who are big scorers and just haven't been able to really get released and going yet. But, hopefully we're going to, get the forward scoring. And I think the biggest proponent I am is of defensive hockey. And I'm a big believer defense wins championships, whether it's football, baseball, whatever it may be. I think a strong defense makes up for a weak offense. And, to replace an offense, we need more skill and talent. We'd have to bring in 3-4 guys, let 3-4 guys go. And there's no guarantee that those guys are going to do the job here because, we have people here now who aren't doing the job. So I think accountability is a big thing for me. I think that's one of my key jobs. Conditioning is one of my key jobs for the team. And I think if we get in better condition and we have some accountability on the team, I think things can turn around.
And I assume you've had the opportunity to meet with the team face-to-face. What has been the initial reaction to the players on the team with you taking over?
Well, I was kind of surprised the first time we went in and faced the team. Jim was there and Ron was there, and Ron wanted to speak to them first, and then Jim introduced me. And I spoke a bit to the players just about my past and where I've been and what I've done and what I had planned, and actually got a clap at the end of my talk, and I was kind of like, wow, I wasn't expecting that. But I think, like Jim says, a lot of the players were really wound up tight with Dwight, and I think there was a collective sigh of relief from them, and I think that's part of the equation.
Well, Jim, on the business side, we know that right now Josh Ballou is the interim head coach, awaiting work visa coming from Canada to the U.S., which I'm sure you've went through several times, Coach. So it's no different. But something we're not familiar with. What are the business wise? What are the rules while you wait for that? Can the team practice with Coach, or can he have any contact at all with the team as far as drills and things like that without a work visa, or how does that go?
We checked with immigration when that was all coming down, Jimmy, and he came in on a visitor's visa right now, which means he physically cannot be on the bench.
Okay.
Coaching the game, but he could watch from the press box as he did on Friday and Saturday. He can actually talk to the team anytime.
Okay.
And he can, like today in practice, he could be in the arena, and he couldn't just be on the ice. That's really it.
Right. I just basically can't do anything that consists of doing a job.
Yeah, which would be considered coaching.
And how long does that take, the paperwork and whatnot, for the work visa to come through?
It can take up to 15 days.
Okay.
However, because we're coming out of the holidays, I spoke to our immigration attorney this morning. She feels that the process will be faster just because there's not as many applications this time of year.
Okay.
So we keep our fingers crossed, and as soon as he's approved, he'll be on the bench.
So basically, you just on like a paid vacation then until they get you some work papers, right?
I don't know if you want to say paid, but I'm here.
Now you
Kind of like you with the Ford name.
Yeah, exactly. It's got the name there, but you don't get anything for it. Yeah, I feel you there. Yeah. That now what we have heard, and not sure if it's true or not, because trust me, most rumors aren't, but. You're flying back out in the morning,
correct?
Back to Canada and get things in order there, and then you'll be back here in Evansville when expecting.
As soon as I get my paperwork, because I'll get it on the way through, coming down the next.
Oh, okay.
He has to actually show it literally at the Canadian border,
right?
To come over, right? Yeah. Okay, because the visitor visa then I guess is up. You only get 7 days or something on. Okay, all right. So that's how that works. All right.
And I'm not familiar. Can you not just reapply for another visitor's visa until the work visa is done, or how does that work?
He could be here on a visitor's visa forever, but we could not legally pay him.
Gotcha.
And he could not, per the league rules, he couldn't legally coach.
You pay him in Canadian dollars, and then they call it okay?
We didn't look into that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's a way around. A little loophole.
And if,
don't let the guy go broke, man. He'll leave us.
I know. We're working. We're trying to not make that happen. If for some reason Magic gets approved, our next game is in Missouri on Friday. Mm-hmm. We would fly him directly to Missouri, and he'd just come back.
Well, I mean, he picked players up on the bus at one place, and they end up coming home with it. So why not? Yeah, it doesn't have to start right here. Yeah.
Talking to Evansville IceMen COO Jim Riggs and their new head coach Al Sims. It's Ford and O'Brien, ESPN Evansville 105.3 and online ESPNEvansville.com. And Jim, let me ask you this: since you have made this coaching change midway through the season, your expectations going forward. Not only let's start with the remainder of this season. What would you consider it to be? I mean, does he need to make the playoffs, or do you just want to see some kind of improvement from the team moving forward?
Well, I think when we've had our many conversations with Al, Ron, myself, ironically, as poorly as we have played over the last month, maybe that's not the right term, but the record shows we aren't playing where we should be playing. We're only 4 or 6 points out of the last playoffs because the other teams in our division, obviously you've got Toledo and Fort Wayne, who are probably two of the best teams in the league, if not the best two. But the teams that we're chasing, Wheeling, Cincinnati, Kalamazoo, have all played just barely better than we have. Mm-hmm. So if we can go on a stretch, again, that goes back to our philosophy going back to the beginning of December with all the home games we had. Had we won the majority of those games, we'd be in very good shape heading into January. Yeah. So we feel, and with Al's feeling that we have the talent here, we would like to make the playoffs. I think that's the goal we've had since we all came on board here in the summertime, and we still think we can do that.
Well, and, taking nothing away from Coach Mullins, because I agree with you, great guy. Mm-hmm. Coaching-wise, that's way above my pay grade. I have no idea on what it takes to coach a hockey team. But you won one game in December, bottom line. So, the bar's not set real high right now.
No,
so, that I mean, if that means less weight on Coach Sims' shoulders coming in or not, it's, I don't always agree with coaching changes in midseason. But
hard.
Again,
it's hard.
I'm paid to throw things out there, so I throw them out there. Yeah. But it is hard. And that's another question I have for you in just a second, Coach. But at the same sense, did you feel almost that you had no choice?
Well, again, without casting any aspersions, you hear the phrase all the time at every level that the coach lost the room. Ottawa made a change earlier this year. They let their coach go, and when we talked to their assistant general manager about this change, they were supportive because they said, our guy who took the Ottawa Senators, I think, to the semifinals 2 years ago, lost the room. And by that, you mean at some point the communication has just stopped happening.
Yeah, you lose the locker room, you don't have a team.
From talking to people within the locker room area, that's what they felt.
Yeah.
So at that point, you say, well, how do you get that back? Many times you never do.
Mm-hmm.
So with Al's experience and coming in with a totally different approach, the defensive approach, I can assure you, sitting in that meeting room on January 1st when he first talked to everybody, he had the room.
Yeah.
They were paying attention.
Yeah, and that's a different thing, too. Respect is earned. It can't be commanded, if that makes sense. But, Coach, the question for you, and you may have in your long coaching career, this may not be the first time you've come in midseason with a team, but they're about the halfway point. Is it harder or easier, in your opinion, to come in? I don't know if harder or easier is the right word, but is it a lot tougher to come in midseason than it is to start where you've got camp and everything else? I think the obvious answer may be yes, but I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, I think it's real difficult. I came in halfway through Fort Worth season, and that was the only other time I did that. And, it's very difficult because you're dealing with another coach's players, another coach's recruits, so to speak. You had nothing really to do with who's there, and now you're having to deal with who's there. So it's a difficult process, and you got to try to weed out the good players and from the bad, and that's going to take a bit of time. Also, things that I would have done haven't been done here, and I can tell they haven't been done, but those are things that I'm starting on, and we started on this morning in practice. And we started on with the 2 games, and we saw improvements in certain areas. But, it's going to take some time, and, I hope people are patient because I'm going to have to be patient with these guys and until they learn the systems, learn the way I want them to play, and get them in shape to play the type of systems I want to play because it is going to require more than they have right now. So I think, there's some things I need to do, and then, hopefully we get on a roll the right way. And I think expectations are a big thing in sports. There's teams that expect to lose that are 2-15 in the NFL, and teams that expect to win, like the New England Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
You get down 21-7, and the Patriots are like, we got lots of time. We're going to score.
Yeah.
We got all day.
We're going to win. And there's other teams that, when they get down like that, like the Evansville IceMen, it's almost an impossibility to think that way.
Right.
And we got to flip that thinking where we're expecting to win.
Well,
and not.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And not the other way.
Well, and, I just wanted to quickly ask. I know we're up against the wall for a break here, but I'm maybe reading too much between the lines. But I've heard you mention conditioning and playing the style you want to play. What I take from that is possibly the cardio going to go up a little, and you want to get up and down the ice. Is that kind of your style of play? You want to just pressure?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, and I don't think our team is in great condition right now, but they will be. And,
okay.
Unfortunately, it's not something you can change instantly, but it's something that I do in training camp, and we're coming out of camp, and they should be in the best shape they're going to get in, and because you have the time to do it. Once you start the season 3-4 games a week, it's difficult to get it in, but I think the players after this morning's practice know what to expect from me.
You're probably still throwing up over there, I guess.
Yeah.
Run them like a rock.
We almost had one guy. We almost had one guy doing it. I wish we would have. It would have been a good story for the radio. But he was on his knees and ready to, but just held it back.
Well, those are the ones. If he's there tomorrow, you got a good one.
That's right. Exactly.
That's how that works.
That is the new head coach of your Evansville IceMen, Coach Al Sims, COO, rather. I keep giving you an extra title there, Jim.
I know.
He say he doesn't have time for any more
Say
time.
whatever you want. Call me whatever you want, Ryan. That's
Just
okay.
all the O's, baby.
Jim Riggs, the COO of the Evansville IceMen. Coach, we wish you best of luck. I know we'll be talking on a regular basis throughout the remainder of the season. Jim, always good to see you as well.
Thanks for the time, guys.
Anytime, you guys. The door is always open for you guys.